Hey y'all, welcome to the Healedyetpodcast, where we normalize the lifelong journey of healing and provide those with support along the way. I am your host, Majaya, a licensed social worker in Texas, and let's get right to it. Hey y'all, welcome to my very first podcast episode. Like I said in my intro, I'm really a straight to the point person. So that's what I plan to do in every episode. So in this episode, I'm definitely just going to straight dive into what healing looks like and what it is. And for me, I believe that everyone has their own idea of what healing looks like, right? What it looks like for ourselves. But let's talk about the signs and actions that define healing. And like we stated, it looks different for everyone. But healing, I want you to know that it can be so simple. And I want you to identify those small steps or those the small progress that we make that shows that healing is happening, right? So healing can be just as simple as crying 2 times a day instead of crying for 10 times a day. When you first started, you were crying more often, and now you see that you're able to get through more majority of your day crying a little bit less. It can also be as simple as applying coping skills in your everyday life. Like now you exercise, you're drinking less, you are journaling, you are doing more positive things that can help you to change your thoughts around what's happening in your life. I believe that that's necessary. Another thing could be not responding in the way that you used to, right? So usually you probably will argue with someone, or you usually probably would just put so much energy and effort into trying to prove yourself, trying to prove your worth, trying to prove why you are capable for something. And that's that's big. Like being able to know your worth and not have to explain what you bring to the table is a big step in healing too. Because so much energy and time goes into try to prove who you are to someone, and that is something you shouldn't have to do in any setting, in a relationship, in a friendship, in anything. Because if that person wants to be in your life, they obviously should be able to see what you can bring to the table through your actions, through how you handle yourself, through conversation. You should not be wasting so much time and energy trying to prove who you are to someone. Because in that process, you can begin to lose yourself, especially when you start to feel like you don't fit the standard, or you're trying to change who you are to become more fitting for whatever it is that you are proving yourself for, right? Healing can also be as simple as getting rid of the negative thoughts or negative people. For me, negative thoughts was a big thing. Negative thoughts were something that was draining me completely, because I noticed at one point, like I was my own biggest enemy, my own biggest critic. I would have these intrusive thoughts about things that were just not even not even logical. So just being able to stop negative thoughts in its tracks and rearrange it to something more positive can help you to see the big picture. Can also help you to heal. You have to be the one that feeds yourself the positive things. You can't count on this world to do it. You can't count on mom. You can't count on your friends. You cannot count on your partner to be that person to bring the positive thoughts and reassurance to yourself. Because when we constantly look for reassurance in other people, you can lose yourself, like I stated earlier. You have to be the person that constantly gives your own self reassurance, constantly find the great things within yourself, push yourself, so that when other people do give you that reassurance and positivity and compliments, that's just adding to what you already feel for yourself. So healing can be as simple as deciding to do something you always wanted to do. For me, going through the time that I went through in the last year and a half, 2 years, I began to do more things that I like to do. I started dressing up how I like to dress, doing my makeup more often, working out. Those small things really contributed to my overall happiness and well being and self esteem. Going through healing, you can lose confidence, or you may have already lost the confidence, and the healing side is what helps you to regain it, right? So, losing confidence and self esteem was a big thing for me. And doing something you always wanted to do can really help bring back that one at a time, one day at a time. So that goes back to that reassurance part that I talked about. Don't look for the outside world to give you that reassurance. When you get yourself dressed up, when you do your makeup, when you travel, when you do those things that you like to do, make sure that you are the one that's reassuring you, the one that's talking positive things into your own life, the one that's not comparing your yourself to someone else. And that's a big thing with healing too. You comparing your healing journey to someone else can really set you back a lot. And we'll talk about that later. But when you're healing, you will notice yourself becoming who you are meant to be. And some days you may notice yourself falling apart all over again. And that's just the journey of healing. One day you are in a complete, wonderful space. And then in the next day, you are falling apart all over again. But I don't want you to give up because that's all in all what healing entails of. So keep going every day. Allow yourself to have grace. Allow yourself to cry. Don't hold anything back because this is all part of your journey. All in the part of dating the old version of you. I'm sorry, I got confused, but dating the old version of you is what healing is. Stop seeing healing as, oh, I'm trying to get back to who I was. Ma'am, sir, no, that is not what it is. Because the old version of who you are is not who you are going to become. Because that old version of you didn't go through what you just went through. That old version of you did not take in all that hurt and the pain and the trauma that you went through. So healing is going to change you. This trauma, this old situation is going to change you and mold you into being the person that you are going to become. So let's put it like that. I'm healing to become the person God wants me to be. Don't say I want to get back to the old me because that can also delay your healing process because you you don't want to return back to that person. Okay? Trying to go backwards is probably what is prolonging your healing. You're trying to become the person you were before the trauma, and that's not possible. The person you are now needs to move forward, needs to move forward into the version that God has for you. What God has for you requires a complete different version of you, right? So, as you're healing, I want you to think of this. I'm not going backwards. The person I was is who I was. The person I'm willing and wanting to become is ahead of me. You have to move forward. So, what I want you to do in this moment, if you can, if you look at yourself in the mirror, if you don't have a mirror, just say these things to yourself. And I want you to say it out loud because believe it or not, affirmations, they do something for me. And I believe it can do the same for you. So I want you to say this to yourself out loud. I am healed and I am whole. I have all the tools to heal. I'm getting better one day at a time. I am reinventing myself. I am beautiful even when life feels ugly. And I am loved even when life makes me feel otherwise. Today, I hope you choose yourself. in everything, in all things. I hope that you know your word and you know that you are going to get to the finish line. I want you to know that healing is not beautiful, but it's worth it. You are worth it. The future you is waiting for you. And if you have time today, I want you to take this journal topic with you. Just in this first episode, I want you to pull out your journal and write a letter to your future self. I did this for myself a year ago and a year before that. And I read it the other day and literally cried because I was her. The person that I told myself that I was going to be a year ago, I had became her. So write that letter to yourself, congratulating yourself for making it to that point. Let her know that you're cheering her on. And as in her, I'm talking about that future version of yourself. Let her know that you are doing the hard work right now, that she will be so proud of you. You are worth everything in life that you want. And everything that's for you, you won't have to prove yourself. What's for you is for you. Have a good day and take these words with you. See you next time. Thank you for listening to the Healedyetpodcast. I do want to ask if y'all can go ahead and follow me on all platforms at Healedyetpodcast. I really, really thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you come back for the next episode. Bye.